Hiya, and welcome back to Home Somewhere Else. The game that teaches us that, that moths are your best friends. I think it is. I do not know. Let's check. Yeah, it's still up. It's still up. Alright, now let's just hop right in. It won't change the fact that you know you can't. What do we do? You mutter nervously under your breath, barely able to comprehend the two monsters in front of you. Fred, however, holds his fighting stance as he looks over your opponents. Mothawk holds a similar stance to Fred, keeping an intense focus directed at the beasts, shifting slightly to readjust his grasp on you. Chad, just breathe. Okay? Do as I say, and we'll be fine. Hiya. We're all in this together, right, Mothawk? The large Mothman nods confidently, sizing up the opposition while doing so. How the two of them are acting so calm is beyond your scope of understanding, seeing as you can't stop your body from shaking. The two monsters in front of you seem like corruptions of once normal people. They all have protruding bones and tendrils all over their bodies. The tiger is the largest of the monsters you've seen, somehow able to spin like a power drill through the air. Your chances of surviving a direct assault from it are probably pretty low. Certainly doesn't inspire much confidence. Oh! Fancy animations. We might have to disable them if at all possible. We cannot disable the fancy animations. I only just noticed this because of, like, the blink. Like, Fred's blink is smooth, and it is amazing. The hyena is somewhat more worrying, covered in rotting skin and glowing pustules. Along with the bony protrusions, it bears razor-sharp claws, the middle one much larger than the others and leaking a vile greenish liquid. Every drop that hits the water beneath it sizzles and boils, emitting a horrid stench. Everything about it makes your stomach turn. The glowing green blisters, its rotting skin, and its tiny growths. You couldn't have imagined such a thing existing. But alas, here it is, and it's looking right at you while heaving and gasping for air. Just stay calm and do exactly as I say, alright? I need you both to work with me. While the three of you continue to hold a defensive position, the two monsters begin to circle around your group in different positions. In different directions, looking for an opening. Shouldn't we... The second you begin to speak, the corrupted hyena bolts towards you in a violent fervor. Fred's response is nearly as instantaneous, thrusting his hand up into the air and making thick ropes of kelp shoot out of the lake towards the toxic beast. They wrap around the hyena's legs and retract into the water, slowly dragging the monster back towards the lake. The tiger roars before beginning to charge as well, and Fred's gaze shoots to the beast as the shepherd's fist uppercuts the air between him and the tiger. Yo, seriously, what is going on with my microphone? Seriously, what is going on with my microphone today? It shouldn't be doing this, and the sensitivity is down. Let me turn that up. Okay, we're good. You struggle to hold on as the earth shakes beneath you, the ground exploding underneath the tiger. A dense column of roots erupts from the soil, carrying with it a hefty-looking rock from below the surface which slams into the tiger's jaw like a monstrous fist, launching it into the air. Okay, that might be smart. Wait, no, we don't want to go back. We go like over to here. Turn that down a bit. There we go. It flies back towards the lake as well, hitting the earth hard and skidding a short distance into the water, narrowly missing the hyena. The column of roots sinks back into the soil instantly, the ground rumbling as Fred moves his hands once again. Before the beast could recoup from the landing in the lake, more kelp rises from the water and wraps around it. It's still able to move somewhat, but more kelp emerges to pin the tiger below the water. The hyena, meanwhile, has been slicing away at the seaweed, dragging it into the water, and with one final slash, it is free from its binds. Your gaze nervously shifts to Fred, finding him sweating heavily, his breath ragged. Still, though, a determined spark remains in his eyes. Get ready, guys. Your eyes focus on the monster, who in turn has its sights set solely on you. A rotten tongue falls out of its mouth, licking its bony lips. Hiya, welcome to the stream. The hyena sprints almost twice as fast as before, leaving a trail of putrid green bile behind him. Fred grits his teeth before swiping and kicking the air, sending roots, vines, and thorns cascading towards the monster. Fred, tell us what to do. If you keep doing everything yourself, you're just going to burn yourself out. Awesome. Fred seemingly ignores you, punching the air faster and faster as the monster dodges every attack at breakneck speeds, carving a path of desolation through the greenery surrounding it with each motion as poisonous liquid splatters around. Yes! Also, hiya! Damn it! You stubborn dog! If only it wasn't so damn fast, maybe I could... Your frantic battle scrambling to come up with a plan is cut short as Fred forces the thing to jump to avoid a thorny whip aiming to trip it. As soon as its feet leave the ground, a smirk crosses Fred's face. Gotcha! He crouches down, flinging his arms out to his sides, palms facing outwards. In turn, two massive leaves sprout from the ground where it looks like the monster's going to land, opening skyward like a massive Venus flytrap. Several long, thorny vines dance out from beneath the leaves, ready to turn the gargantuan foliage into an organic Iron Maiden the moment the monster lands. Thank you. Thank you. As it nears, Fred's smirk grows, and mere moments before it touches the ground, he swings his arms back, crossing them both in front of himself. The leaves respond in kind, clamping down on the hyena. At least, they should have. In the blink of an eye, the monster slams one of its claws downward into the trap, balancing itself on that one claw for a brief moment. I know, it's crazy, Then, it spins with its other claw outstretched, mulching the trap effortlessly, and uses that momentum to fling itself towards you and Mothok, massive claws poised to run you both through. There's a lot of background noise going on, I can tell. Motherfucker was just like, nope, let me just get out of this in style. He just tried. You can see the shock on Mothok's face. Wait. Oh my god, thank you for the follow. Shit! Look out! Time slows as you watch it get closer and closer. Instinct takes over for the both of you. And as Mothok's body heaves backwards, you thrust a fist forward, unconsciously fighting the urge to scream in terror. Hiya! However, before your fist can even manifest, a tree root springs from the ground and blocks the strike. The claw embeds itself deep into the hardwood, allowing for Mothok to safely put some distance between you and the monster. Fred continues to swipe the air, causing more roots to grow around the monster's arm. By now, your heart is pounding in your ears, drowning out every other sound around you. Your claws are beginning to dig painfully into Mothok's shoulders, but you barely even notice. What the hell? What the fuck is even going on? What are we supposed to do? Mothok skids to a stop, his grip on you tighter than ever, to the point where it's almost painful. You barely have any time to notice, though, before you both realize that the ground beneath your feet is shaking violently, coupled with the distinct sounds of cracking bones and roaring. Though the action is unnecessary, your eyes snap back to the lake and you can instantly tell that the tiger is gone. Through the water where it was once standing is furiously shifting, as if draining into something. Move! Well, it was fun knowing you. Not needing to be told, Mothhawk was already crouching down, and with a mighty shove upwards, launches you both high into the air. The tiger erupts from the ground below less than a second later, spinning upwards with a gut-wrenching roar. Mothhawk extends his wings as best he can with you on his back, slowing your descent while the tiger arcs beneath you, drilling back beneath the surface once again. When Mothhawk's feet hit the ground, he takes just a moment to regain his balance before regrouping with Fred, whose eyes are now frantically scanning the ground. He looks even more exhausted than before now, gritting his teeth while holding his arm out, firmly keeping the hyena held in place, though if his arm's shaking is any indication, he won't be able to keep it like that forever. Especially with how rapidly the hyena is fighting against the roots. Thankfully, though, it seems like it's finally been properly captured. He got it! He finally got it! Good job, Fred! In an act of animalistic desperation, the hyena bites into its arm and begins to rip into its own flesh, tearing open a disgusting blister. Damn! The hyena's wound begins to spurt out a toxic greenish-purple pus onto the roots. The plants begin to melt and turn into a black sludge. Ew. That is called counting your chickens before they hatch, Chad. Fred's eyes go wide and he lowers his arm and as his roots are melted away, almost in defeat. He gulps harshly but then brings a finger up to his temple, scratching awkwardly at the side of his head. Well, I never seen something like that before. Fred shakes his head and takes a deep sigh as the monster frees himself of its restraints. Despite the goofy grin on the German Shepherd's face, it's plain to see that this battle is really taking its toll on him. Who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu! It's whatever the fuck this is. Fuck! The sight fills you with even more panic. Nonetheless, Fred narrows his gaze at the monster and resumes his fighting stance. Let's dance, pretty boy. False bravado. Enviable, you suppose. Since you're struggling to contain your shaking, your muscles hurt solely from the tension, and you haven't even done anything. Before the monster could move a muscle, Fred unleashes a flurry of punches in the monster's direction. A cavalcade of splintered branches and roots tear through the soil. They're sloppier than usual, coming out jagged and fragile. A root shoots directly at the hyena's face, but its neck snaps jerkily to the side, followed by the rest of its body as it twists around it, continuing to race towards you while flailing its arms wildly, slashing through the roots with ease. Fred continues to punch and uppercut the air, each attack growing weaker and weaker than the last. But it does little to stop the demon, who continues to dodge, rip, and slice through every single attack effortlessly. You can't even understand how something made of rotting flesh and bone could move so fast. Have to do something. We have to do something. Damn it, Fred. Let us help. It's fine. Dodging is all I need you to do right now. With the kick forward, a strong root sharpened to a point erupts directly in front of the hyena, giving it no time whatsoever to react. And yet, it does. Just barely, it twists its body to the side, avoiding impalement. However, it does still manage to hit its side, tearing a gash through its rotten flesh. Completely unfazed, though, it continues its rush, forcing you all to dodge as it swipes its claws wide, narrowly missing. Damn it! We have to fucking do something! You quickly scan the area, looking for anything that could turn the tides of this fight in your favor. As you do, though, something dawns on you, piercing through your panic-riddled mental fog. Wait. They've never gone after Fred, have they? They've only been attacking Mothok and me. Fred, listen to me. They're aiming for Mothok and I, so we can be bait while you find a way to kill them. Fred's ears perk up towards you as he staggers back to his feet, shaking his head. I can't kill them, Mothok, look out below! The moment Fred finishes his command, Mothok is already in the air, having sensed the earth rumbling beneath his feet. The abomination rips its way out of the ground and bursts into the air once more, going higher than before, but thankfully still not fully being able to reach you and Mothok. Mothok lands just as the tiger burrows deep into the dirt, drilling through thick roots and rocks as it charges up another assault. Once on the ground, you look at Fred, who is still slicing and punching the air, a cold sweat forming on your back as you continue to see the shepherd exert himself. What do you mean you can't kill them? They're gonna rip us to shreds. I just can't, Chad. Why the hell not? If you don't do something, we're going to be the ones to die. Before Fred has a chance to respond, you find yourself once again launched into the air, with Mothok seemingly having felt the tiger again. This jump is shorter though, this time more to the side than upwards. Sure enough, a second later, the tiger erupts once again from the earth. Fred's attention snaps to it almost instantly. He stomps his foot on the ground before kicking high into the air. An array of massive roots shoot upwards towards the drill-like monster, hardening under him at a steep angle. Another series of hand gestures follow, the roots seeming to grow even thicker and curve upwards as the tiger crashes onto the wooden ramp before hitting the ground. The large beast's trajectory was now aimed towards the hyena rather than re-entering the earth. Spiraling uncontrollably, the behemoth rolls towards his monstrous counterpart at breakneck speeds. A mere second before fatal impact, the hyena manages a massive leap away from the other monstrosity, landing inelegantly in some nearby bushes. The tiger, meanwhile, begins to lose its cohesive drill shape, spinning out of control until it slams harshly into a thick tree, still with enough force to destabilize and hopefully topple it directly on top of the dazed monster, pinning it down. Fred seizes the moment without hesitation, raising his hand to the air and slashing the dirt in front of him with his foot. A swarm of razor-sharp vines shoot from the bushes and engulf the hyena's legs and hips. This time, no matter how fervently the monster slices, the vines sprout faster and faster with each wave. A smile that looks almost surprised spreads across Fred's face as he raises his hands into the air, the razor-like stems climbing further up the hyena's abdomen. As they finally fully wrap the hyena up, carefully avoiding any more of the rancid blisters coating its body, finally seeming to hold it in place for good this time, Fred's stance crumbles. He falls to one knee, gasping for air as sweat pours down his face. Holy shit! You look at the large tiger and the hyena, both of them seemingly out of the fight for now. Are you okay? Mothok, take me over. You usher Mothok to head towards Fred, and he nods, trotting towards the shepherd. Yeah, I'll be fine. Just give me a second. Fred continues to breathe heavily before pressing his hand to his chest. You panic for a split second, worried he's about to succumb to a heart attack. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be the case. He seems to be merely taking a moment to center himself, taking slow, deep breaths, and eventually wiping the sweat from his forehead with his arm. Why wouldn't you let us help? You wouldn't be so tired if you actually let us do something. You chastise him as you approach, earning yourself a somewhat dismissive glare over the shepherd's shoulder. Chad, I appreciate the offer, but what could you have possibly done? I already said, you idiot. Be bait. Fred lets out a sigh himself, getting back to his feet. Well, whatever. They're both down for the count, so let's get out of here before... A deafening roar rips through the air, punctuated by a heavy thud that shakes the ground. All attention quickly shifts in the direction of the noise, only to see the tiger having worked itself out from underneath the tree's trunk and is now slowly standing back up. God damn it! Fred resumes his fighting stance while Mothok's grip on you tightens once more, his own stance solidifying yet again. Why do you keep getting back up? Just stay down! Fred. The shepherd peers over his shoulder at you once again and then lets out a long sigh. Fine. As his attention turns back to the enemy, he spots the tiger sprinting towards the hyena, who is still writhing against its bonds. No you don't, you bastard! Fred drags his hand through the air above him in an arc, the jagged remains of the collapsed tree's stump following his motion to snag the tiger mid-leap. But they miss, only managing to grab onto the tiger's ankle, which does nothing to slow it down from grabbing the vines holding the hyena up. Once it has a firm grasp on them, it begins to spin furiously, tearing them apart at their base and wrapping itself with them. As the hyena begins to fall, it squeezes onto the vines, following them down until it's about to land, at which point the tiger stops spinning, grabbing onto the hyena's arm. It pulls onto its arm with excess spinning velocity, pulling it down to the ground rapidly. The hyena comes down with a claw outstretched, tracing it along the vine that had coiled around the tiger's body, shredding them the rest of the way. We're absolutely nowhere with this. We need to get them away from each other. Yeah, just like I've already suggested, let us be bait. You get no response, but a flick of Fred's ear makes you realize just how harshly that came out, and you bite your tongue. Damn it, Chad. Calm down. I'm sure Fred's just as scared as I am. It's not fair to take it out on him. While you take time to center yourself, the battlefield is strangely silent. Neither Fred nor the monsters seems to be moving much. They must need to rest too. Now would probably be the best time to attack, but Fred's still shaking, his stance rocky. His focused expression is faltering as well. His features tightened and now in frustration instead of concentration. He shakes his head with an irritated scoff. Using you as bait shouldn't be necessary. I'd rather just wrap you up with roots to keep you safe, but there's no way that's going to work with that friggin' hyena's poison. Even though it seems the battle is at a complete standstill, the monsters are still creeping over ever closer while Fred strategizes. Or, at least tries to. Damn it, Chad, what can Mothok do? I don't know. I mean, he definitely has powers, but I don't know what they do. Hell, I don't think he even knows. Fred peeks over his shoulder towards Mothok as if to confirm, earning himself only a shameful head shake from the big moth. His brow furrows further. Damn it. What about you? I can only really grab and hit stuff with my hand, but I can extend it so I have range. This is going to be rough. Mothok, even if you're not entirely sure what they do, I need you to do whatever you can to help, okay, buddy? Mothok nods confidently. Fred nods in turn, and his whole body rises and falls as he lets out a big, almost frustrated sigh. Alright. Since I'm totally out of ideas, I'm going to rely on you guys to separate them after all. Are you sure they're only after you two? Fred finally seems to actually be listening to you, and yet, despite the relief that brings you, it also amplifies your dread. Yeah, I'm fairly certain they're just after us. Alright, then hopefully if you two split up, they will too. With an upwards flick of his fingers, Fred summons two tall, thick roots from the ground beside you, arcing them a meter or two above your head. Use that range to your advantage and monkey swing from these. Get as far away as you can, as fast as you can. And don't worry if the hyena cuts them away. I'll just make more. Just make sure you stay ahead of it. As if on cue, both monsters begin to prowl once again, slowly stalking towards you, casting deep, guttural growls in your direction. Fred ignores them. Once you're out of range, though, you'll just have to use the trees. Can you do that? Yeah, shouldn't be a problem. Good. As for you, Mothok, just follow my lead. Mothok nods firmly, his group loosening on you somewhat to allow you to go. By now, the monsters are getting visibly antsy. You should move quickly. Alright, go, Chad. You nod, thrusting your arm upwards and grabbing onto the branches with your magic hand. Honestly, same, though. As soon as you make contact, the monsters break into a mad dash towards you, However, the moment they take their first step, the roots suddenly extend rapidly upwards, dragging you up through the leaves, dangling you above the forest. Whoa! While taking a moment to catch your breath and, hopefully, still your frantically pounding heart, you look down and see that Mothlock and Fred haven't moved. Your panic only worsens, but then you notice that the monsters have also stopped moving. They sniff the air furiously, seemingly confused by your sudden movement. The confusion only lasted for a few seconds though, and without warning, the hyena leaps towards the root you're dangling from, slashing it with its claw. Damn it! The root begins to crumble away, leaving you with precious seconds to move. You get yourself swinging, and just barely manage to fling yourself away as the root begins to fall. You throw another punch towards the next root, but your hand flies over it, grasping at empty air as you begin to fall. Oh shit! Thankfully, the root responds quickly, tilting in your direction and getting close enough for you to slam into it and wrap your arms tightly around it. You let out a small sigh of relief and turn back to thank Fred, but you can't see him or Mothlock anymore. Just the hyena, glaring at you from beneath the dense tree canopies. You gulp harshly, frantically looking around for the next root, but there are none. Your heart sinks, and you aren't given any time to think of what to do next as the root you're holding onto shakes. The hyena's now slashed this one too, and it's crumbling away already. Oh fuck. Before you know it, the leaves below you are getting very close, very fast. Shit. None of this would be happening if Fred would just nut up and kill these freaking things. The hyena has already gotten into position beneath you, no doubt ready to carve you into sizzling rotten pieces the moment you land. By some miracle, though, you slam painfully into a thick branch before reaching the ground. You grunt and try to cling on, but the force of your landing was too much, and the branch snaps under your weight. The hyena's eyes follow you as the ricochet from branch to branch down the tree, splaying its claws as you near the ground. It leaps at you with a howling shriek, and in adrenaline-fueled panic, you throw a punch in a random direction and pray. The moment you feel the sensation of literally anything against your palm, you clamp down with monstrous strength. Your velocity suddenly shifts forward, and you find yourself now crashing through more branches. At some point, you're pretty sure you can feel the long claws pass through your legs, narrowly missing you. Unfortunately, the branch that was to be your salvation has its own limits, and it snaps too. You're unceremoniously hurled through even more branches before finally meeting the ground, tumbling a short distance before coming to rest in a bush. Ow! As you try to shake off the dizziness, your blurry vision catches a glimpse of a brown blob slowly getting closer. As the ringing in your ears dies down, the unmistakable sounds of a growling, bloodthirsty beast fills the space it left behind. Fred! Mothlock! I need help! In a blind panic, you begin to scream, but the only answer you get are the distant sounds of combat echoing through the forest. Your focus finally returns to you, allowing you to process just how close the hyena has gotten. Its claws splayed at its sides. Stay back! Unsurprisingly, the monster has no reaction whatsoever to your command. You try to stand up and run, but as soon as your right foot makes contact with the ground, agonizing pain shoots up your leg, nearly forcing you back down once again. On a scale of 1 to 10, my friends, we're fucked. Shit! Fred! Heart pounding in your ears, you do your best to limp away, putting weight on your foot as best you can to avoid the wound. But it's difficult because it's so big. Each step is another painful ordeal, only worsening your fear. Mothlock! A crunch behind you sends your panic into overdrive, and you throw another punch towards the treetops, grabbing onto another branch high above you. The monster reacts instantly, audibly leaping towards you. However, with every ounce of strength you can muster, you retract your hand, launching yourself towards it like a rocket. You do your best to put the hyena out of your mind, focusing on the direction you heard the sounds coming from earlier. Not worrying about swinging anymore, you resign yourself to merely flinging yourself between branches, crashing into the ground each time. After only a few flings, you tumble back out into a familiar clearing with a grunt, spotting Mothlock and Fred ahead of you. Fred has seemingly captured the other monster with kelp once again, suspending it over the lake. Fred! They both notice you, turning to face you. Fred's attention quickly turns back to the tiger, while Mothlock breaks away from him to dash over to you. As he moves to pick you back up, a massive blur slams into the moth, tumbling back out into the clearing. Excuse me? Excuse me, mister? Excuse me? No, no, mm-mm, mm-mm, no, 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 mm-mm, mm-mm, no, 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 mm-mm, no. I hit the pop filter and now did that. No, 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 no. That thing is done. It's done. As soon as they come to a stop, you see the hyena pinning Mothok face down. Its claws drawn back, poised to impale him. Hiya! Mothok! Shit! Fred's attention falls from the tiger and he turns to run towards Mothok's rescue. But you are closer and react faster, instinctively throwing a punch towards the massive cyst-type thing on the hyena's back. It freezes in place, maw wide open, and its gaze locked on the moth below it. Time itself seems to have stopped as your magical hand begins to glow. In a panic, you try to pull your hand back, but it seems stuck to the hyena. You can't even dismiss it, and more faint whispers crawl into your mind like a bug with 1,000 legs. Help me. The whispers are drowned out by a deafening screech, the monster howling in tremendous agony towards the sky. Pulling harder and harder to try and free yourself only seems to make it worse, the monster beginning to flail wildly, slashing at nothing in a frenzy. Suddenly, a strange yet familiar presence builds behind one of your eyes, an itchy sensation, like something is stirring in your head. The pressure quickly becomes overbearing, and you wince harshly, covering your eye with your free hand to try and stifle the pain. More. It feels like your magical hand has stopped listening to you entirely, the sensation of you grabbing on tighter despite your attempts to pull back overwhelming your own palm. The hyena slams its claws down into the earth, the body heaving as it bares its teeth down at Mothok, who is frozen in fear, staring back up at it as best he can. The monster is shaking but seems to have regained its composure, at least somewhat. It draws one of its hands back up out of the earth and moves to finally deal a finishing blow to Mothok. Mothok! In only a fraction of a second, the hyena's claw begins to descend. A flash of blue, however, appears above Mothok, and a mere moment later, the monster is off of him. That's all you're able to see before a bright flash of light forces your eyes shut. Kaboom boom. A loud crackling boom. A thud. A sharp, stinging pain fills your arm as your magical hand dismisses itself on its own. Then, silence. Ah! It's awful. Ah! Once you're finally able to open your eyes once more, your hazy vision lands on a billowing blue blur. It takes a moment for your eyes to adjust, but once they do, you're able to recognize that blur as Bruce. Traces of arcing blue energy crackle around his hand, but with a dismissive swipe, they vanish and his hand disappears beneath his cloak once more. As your eyes slowly trail around the battlefield, you take in things bit by bit. Mothok has already sat up and is staring at Bruce with a twinkle in his eye. A moment later, his gaze shifts to you. Your eyes shift towards the lake, over the decimated clearing, the earth torn to shreds by Fred's roots and the tiger's holes. What little left is rotten and dying from the hyena's poison. Fred is staring at Bruce in a light amount of shock, but his stance has already begun to relax. Past him, the tiger remains suspended over the water, completely still. Noticing this, your eyes drift back to the opposite direction, finding the hyena equally immobile in a crumpled heap a few meters away from Bruce. You try to speak, try to say anything, but nothing comes out. You're exhausted, confused, in pain. The adrenaline fading from your body only exacerbates all of that. All you can do to even keep your head up. It's all you can do to even keep your head up. Shepherd. Bruce's voice calls out over the desolation and is quiet but firm. Fred perks up at his call, almost looking a bit ashamed after a moment, but you can still pick up a slight twinge of admiration in his gaze. Fred nods, motioning with his hand, causing the kelp to begin to grow, carrying the tiger's lifeless body over towards Bruce and the hyena. While Fred does that, Bruce moves over to the hyena, crouching down next to it and lifting it up surprisingly gently. He carries the beast using his scarves to help him, with care, almost reverence. He delicately lays the hyena down on top of a few small patches of undamaged ground on its back, which the kelp mirrors with the tiger's body. Bruce regards the bodies in silence. His expression is surprisingly somber, an emotion you were fairly convinced he wasn't able to actually feel before now. With a soft sigh, he carefully reaches out to the hyena's eyes. Your battle is finally over. You can barely make out those words as Bruce whispers them, carefully closing the eyes of the inert monsters. Fred joins Bruce next to the bodies, an equally somber look spread across his face. Bruce glances at him, which is seemingly enough to get a message across to him. Right. With a nod, Fred places his palm on the ground, which begins to faintly glow green. As he slowly retracts his hand back, a small plant sprouts beneath it, getting taller and taller as leaves sprout all along its stem. Eventually, 2 flowers sprout at its top, and after a moment, they bear fruit. Large golden berries begin to grow all over the plant. He nods again with a small sigh of relief, then plucks the whole thing delicately from the soil, handing it over to Bruce. You have no earthly idea what is going on, but you're too tired to care. At least it seems like the danger's past. For now, at least. Admittedly, you feel a lot safer with Bruce here, despite your history. With a nod, Bruce turns back to the bodies and takes a deep breath. Do me the honor of bringing you some semblance of peace. Bruce's scarves then start to scan each body. After several moments of this, some kind of wispy-colored gas, almost, slowly floats up out of each body. The wisps condense down into small orbs that pulsate and glow like flame, floating above a scarf each. Bruce closes his eyes and lowers his head a bit, holding out the plant towards them, and carefully guides each orb over to it using his scarves. His movements are slow and methodical, clearly showing a great amount of care for these orb things. As they get close, they begin to dissipate into the berries, swirling around before diving in through the stem, imparting their glow gradually onto each one as they slowly fade away. Once they've fully dissipated, Bruce opens his eyes once more, staring down at the berries with deep reverence, cradling the dimly shimmering plants in his arms. The monsters continue to lay motionless, while all eyes are on Bruce in awe. Bruce takes a deep breath, flipping his hood back up over his head before turning to you, casting a tired gaze at you from within the shadow across his face. Where's the third? His gaze is petrifying. You're not sure why, but you can't speak with him staring directly into your eyes. You open your mouth to say something, but no words come out. Bruce's melancholic gaze tightens, and he begins to raise his scarves. Don't make me repeat myself, dog! I said... He is cut off by Mothok, who hastily rushes in between the two of you, putting a hand on your shoulder while looking back at Bruce, shaking his head firmly. Bruce's eyes go wide, his building fury faltering a bit, and his scarves once again lowering. Satisfied that Bruce was standing down, Mothok relaxes a bit, dropping his hand from your shoulder to point back in the direction you originally came from. Bruce follows Mothok's finger with his eyes, then closes them, shoulders rising and falling as he lets out a long sigh. Alright then. He looks back over his shoulder at Fred, who is idly looking around the remains of the clearing, scratching at his cheek as he finally takes in the severity of the battle for himself. Thanks. His voice startles Fred out of his trance, and he awkwardly rubs the back of his head as he looks at Bruce with a forced smile. No probs, man. Fred is interrupted by a dangerous scowl on Bruce's face, shutting up and shrinking into himself. Mothok, in turn, begins helping you up to your feet, and crouches down to give you a piggyback ride again. Don't worry, Mothok, I've got it. Mothok blinks in Fred's direction, but then nods happily, stepping aside as Fred approaches you, putting your arm over his shoulder. Thanks, Mothok. Mothok nods, giving your shoulder a gentle pat. Mothok? Yeah, that's his name. The moth? Mothok shyly looks away, poking 2 fingers together with a blush across his face, nodding in agreement. Bruce's gaze softens and he huffs, almost in bemusement. Very well then. Mothok. He says the name slowly, as if allowing his mouth to become accustomed to the sound. After a moment, seemingly satisfied, and he nods. You've done well today. I appreciate all your effort, but I believe it's time for you to head home. Mothok shakes his head and steps closer to you, almost protectively. Ah, not to worry. I'm sure they'll be fine. Mothok's antennae droop and he looks over to you with a hesitant look in his eye. The Mothok is worried about you. Oh, don't worry, Mothok. We'll be fine. I'll take care of this idiot. He playfully slaps your stomach, which surprisingly sends a rush of pain through your body. When you flinch and grunt in response, Fred flinches in turn, a nervous sweat forming across his brow. And Bruce is going to make sure nothing happens to the both of us. Bruce grunts under his breath and Mothok tilts his head, glancing back at you with a look of confusion. It takes you a moment, your very thoughts exhausted from the day's events, but eventually you realize why he's confused. Oh, Bruce is his name. You point at Bruce. Don't you point at me, dog! You glare at him for a moment before relenting with a sigh, lowering your arm. Guess he's still not too much of a fan of me. Actually, Mothok, can you hold on to these? Bruce reaches back into his cloak and once again procures the berry plant, holding it towards the moth, who nods, carefully taking it in his lower hands. Good. You know where to go. Go wait for me there. Oh, fuck, I didn't read that. I shouldn't be too long. I need to take care of things here first. Mothok nods and turns back towards you and Fred, extending his upper hands out to the both of you, staring at you both eagerly. A small grin inevitably spreads across your face, mirrored by Fred, who laughs quietly under his breath. You both reach out and shake one of Mothok's hands. It's nice meeting you, Mothok. Thank you for taking care of Chad. Thank you, Mothok. I wouldn't be alive right now if it wasn't for you. Mothok nods shyly, a proud, hopeful look in his eyes and a radiant blush across his face. Hey, when can I see you Never. Bruce, I'm going to need my... I'm going to reference Jacksepticeye. I am going to need my fucking double-seeing glasses because I can't even begin to comprehend the amount of bullshit coming from you. Go... Bruce, I hope... Bruce. Bruce, I hope you choke on a sandwich. Mothok flinches, pulling his hands back and glaring at Bruce huffily, crossing his arms. We'll try and come back tomorrow, Mothok. Don't worry. Bruce makes no attempt to hide a sigh of contempt, which Mothok either doesn't hear or chooses to ignore as his mood perks back up at Fred's words. Choke on a rock, a pebble. Alright, off you go, Moth. Mothok nods and after giving one final wave, turns and walks towards the lake before following the shore, eventually disappearing behind the tree line. Is it really this way, or was it the moth just lying to protect you fools? You look at Bruce for a moment, once again tensing up. However, a squeeze from Fred relaxes you enough to actually answer. No, he wasn't lying. As far as I know, it's still in that direction, but it could have moved by now. Show me. You blink in surprise, looking to Fred almost as if seeking confirmation that you heard what you think you heard. Fred simply nods, looking back at you. Alright. With a deep breath and a large amount of Fred's help for balance, you hobble off back in the direction you and Mothok had fled from, with Bruce following you closely behind. Before you get too far away, you take one final look back over your shoulder into the clearing. The two corpses are still there, and for some reason, seeing them again fills your chest with an indescribable feeling. You shake your head and turn your head back forward. Oh my god! Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Damn automod. As you walk at a snail's pace in complete silence, it quickly becomes apparent how late in the day it's become. The sun is already beginning to set, and you're starting to worry you won't even be able to make it back down the mountain with how exhausted you are. A voice behind you snaps you out of your worries, though. Tell me what happened to your foot, Doberman. Huh? You didn't call me dog! Progress, I guess. Still, I have a name. But I suppose you can't expect too much from a man who tried to kill you a few hours ago. Oh, Automod. Well, earlier when Mothhawk and I were fighting the other monster, I used myself as bait to fling it off a cliff, but it managed to grab onto my foot. And, well, you see, that's how that turned out. Shepard, can you... Yes, of course. And then what? Well, something caught its attention down the slope and it let go to chase after it. Tumbling down the hill, then you punctuate your answer with a shrug. And you think it's still down there? I mean, considering how determined the other two were, I can't imagine it would have been able to climb back up by now. Otherwise, it probably would have attacked us too. Bruce lets out a long sigh, shaking his head. Foolish dog. What? For your information, I didn't even know monsters existed 10 hours ago. How are you going to expect me to know everything there is to know about them already? I'm not exactly a monster expert like you guys. For now. What's that supposed to mean? Bruce has a lot to explain to you, Chad. Bruce growls from behind, but doesn't contest what Fred says. The rest of the walk is once again silent, at least until the edge of the cliff you were searching for comes into view, and you nod towards it. There, the monster tumbled down that slope. It shouldn't be too hard to track it, just follow the trail of destruction. Bruce pauses for a moment, then walks ahead of you, peering down over the edge. After a moment of analyzing what he sees, he nods, turning back towards you and Fred. Shepard, I'm going to need another one. Sure. Fred crouches with you and places his hand on the ground once more. In a similar process to before, another small berry plant sprouts, this one producing less berries than the first. Fred plucks it, getting back onto his feet and hands it over to Bruce. This should do. Thank you. He nods towards you both, almost like a small bow, but it's such a short-lived gesture you barely even recognize it. Now leave. Then, he forcefully flicks his head back the way you came. Without giving either of you a chance to respond, he turns back around and walks back to the cliff, hopping off the edge and presumably sliding down. I keep thinking that Jenny is going to beat the ever-loving shit out of them. Like, they're just going to, like, show back up, and Jenny's going to be waiting there with a fucking shotgun. Just like, you two are late coming back from your... No. She's just, like, standing there aggressively with a fucking whatever. All I have is a belt. Just like, you two missed the end of your lunch break. You two are late. And then she proceeds to make Fred and Chad her bit. She proceeds to make Fred and Chad her bitches. I have a feeling that might happen. Like, Jenny is just going to be there, and she's going to beat the ever-loving shit out of Chad and Fred for being late, very late, to come back from their lunch break. I have a very strong feeling she's going to beat the shit out of them. For the briefest of moments, you think you can catch a glimpse of something weird on Bruce's back, but he's gone so fast and you're so tired you can't really make any sense of it. It's funny. It's funny because the female... I swear to God, most of them that I've read, they all... The female characters are the only competent ones. In these games, I swear to God, it's always the female characters that are surrounded by big, boofy, bara men, titty boobies. They're the only competent ones. Like, look at Verissa and Virginia. Like, put them two together and they're unstoppable. Like, they can control all the universe. Just if Fred was more confident, he'd be perfect. Ah. This way. All of the women are just smart. Fred takes a moment to readjust his hold on you, then begins leading you in a direction that, hopefully, actually leads back to town. Being thanked and then told so rudely to leave is certainly a new one. What the fuck is his problem? I think it's his way of saying thanks to you for taking care of Mothok. Yes, we need to. We need to. Not tonight, though. Not tonight. Would it kill him to just say that? Fred laughs, shaking his head in amusement. Honestly, yeah, probably. Ugh. What a charming guy. Female friends are the only ones keeping the gays together. After walking for a bit, the silence of the forest is shattered by a loud crash and an echoing screech. Then, just as suddenly as it started, it stops, once again leaving silence in its wake. You both stop for a moment, and as you gulp down another weird sensation burning in your throat, Fred closes his eyes for just a brief moment. Then you both continue without another word. You both walk for a long while in complete silence, watching as the forest gets darker and darker around you. You're very rapidly running out of energy, too. You eventually are forced to ask Fred to stop to give you a second to catch your breath. Yeah, sure thing, bud. Here. He carries you over to a tree and sets you down against it, leaving you panting as you look up at him. Sorry. Nah, it's cool. You've been through a lot and don't exactly have stamina regenerating magic, so... You know, I thought my hand was pretty cool, but seeing you do anything in any capacity makes me feel woefully inadequate. Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! No worries. It's taken me years to get to this point. A lot of really rough years. Your ears droop as you suddenly feel a pang of guilt. There's a moment of silence before Fred clears his throat. Anyway, we're never going to make it down to Marimabo like this, so... With a couple flicks of his fingers, Fred summons up a few short roots a meter or so in front of you. Then, he moves up to the tree you're leaning up against, tracing his pointer finger over the surface and around the trunk in some sort of pattern. Once he's finished, he sinks his fingers underneath and begins to pull. It's not that hard. It genuinely is not that hard. I do not think it is that hard to make me laugh. It is not hard. I don't think it is. Once he's finished, he sinks his fingers underneath and begins to pull. Effortlessly, he's able to peel a big chunk of bark from the surface of the tree, filling the air with a distinctive sappy scent. You watch an Aussie swipes a palm over the peeled portion, causing the bark to grow right back as if nothing happened. Alrighty, come on, bud. Let's get out of here in style. With a confident smirk, he lays the bark down on the roots he had summoned up earlier, then returns to you. As he reaches down to pick you back up, you're once again blindsided by just how little you know about the situation, and realize now that Fred has absolutely no excuse to not explain things. Wait. No more excuses, Fred. I'm sick of being left in the dark. I need an explanation now. I won't take no for an answer. You unconsciously clamber back to your feet to try and make a point, but as soon as your wounded foot touches the ground again, you flinch and fall back against the tree. God damn it! Fred crouches down by your feet, holding a hand out. Let me see. You instead pull your foot away from him. No! Stop trying to change the subject, damn it! Chad! You flinch as he shouts your name. I will, okay? I'm going to. There's no reason for you to continue to be in pain just to prove a point, though. Let me help. You said it was a burn, right? Yeah. The monster's claws burnt it really bad. All right. Then let's start with something easy, okay? You've seen what I can do so far, right? Pretty hard not to have, seeing as how you did it so much. Okay, good. Then to, I suppose, grossly oversimplify, I'm kind of like a druid from an RPG. I can control, manipulate, and grow plants. Within limits, of course. Like, I may seem super OP here in a forest, but we'd be boned in a factory. I can do anything that you can think of with this, but I can't do everything. Wait, what do you mean you can do anything but can't do everything? Think of it like my base power is to manipulate plants, and if I use it creatively, I can do a lot of stuff you wouldn't really think of just based on that initial starting point. But even the simplest new trick takes years and years of training. This explanation is shit. I know, okay? I'm stupid as fuck when it comes to explaining stuff like this. That's why I usually leave it up to Bruce. What do you mean, usually? If I continue explaining, like shit. Yes, like shit. If I continue to explain it like this, you'll learn these things poorly, and that could be detrimental to your learning process overall. Which is basically why we came here in the first place. Bruce is way better at it than I am. I just didn't know the situation was going to get twisted so fast. And I definitely wasn't expecting there to be monsters. The casual way you say that implies you fought against them before, which scares me. Well, yeah, I have. What the hell have I gotten myself into all of a sudden? But definitely not as strong as these ones. Usually they're way more tame and manageable. Hell, sometimes they're even harmless. But these ones today... But... Fred puts his finger on your lips. And I can't explain things I'm not so sure about myself before you ask. That makes... Damn it. That makes sense. It certainly feels like this is all surface level stuff, since I definitely feel like I'm missing a lot. It is, yes. There's a lot of things we need to talk about, but if you're worried about the monsters, don't. I know after today the notion sounds stupid, but seriously, don't worry your pretty little head over it. How exactly do you expect me to just not worry after everything I saw today? You can only see your life flashing before your eyes so many times before it starts to get real old. Excuse me, Fred. Whoosh, magic ghost hand. Time for your prostate exam. And I mean, dangerous or no, if there are more monsters like that, what would happen if they got into... Bruce takes care of them. Always. They've never made it out of this forest. Then why in the hell did you bring me here knowing there's potential danger? Couldn't you just call Bruce out, sent a text, wrote a goddamn letter? Were you trying to get me killed or... Fred, noticing you're about to dip into another one of your, moments, interrupts you by flicking your nose. Ow! Don't be silly. I have my reasons for everything I do, and you know it. You know me. Fred. His ears perk up in surprise as you tersely call his name. "10 years of my life is missing. And in those 10 years, it's become painfully apparent that a lot has changed. You have changed. You can't possibly say I know you when just a few hours ago, I thought I was the only one on the planet with any sort of magic powers, and when you would say monster to me, I'd think of a video game. And yet, here we are. You're a druid. I was almost killed in so many fun and exciting ways I can't even count them on the both of my hands. And this..." You hold your foot out, shaking it to prove a point. "It's proof enough that no matter how many times I try to wake up, I never will, because this isn't some twisted-ass nightmare, it's real. So no, I don't think I know you, Fred. I don't think I know much of anything. You look angrily at Fred. His face is stunned for a moment, but soon his ears droop and he looks away. Ashamed. Well, you'll get to know me real soon. Whether I like it or not. A tense moment of awkward silence follows, only broken once Fred finally crouches back down in front of you. Anyways, let me get this checked. Fred inspects the burn marks on your foot. It's not looking great, Chad. Should we go to a hospital? I feel like this is going to be hard to explain. Yes, we need to amputate. What? He snickers at your reaction, giving your leg a couple soothing pats. Chill, chill. I'm kidding. I can have this fixed up in no time. Fred puts his palm to the ground, and just like when he was growing the berries, it begins to glow a light green. As I was explaining, I can grow, manipulate, and whatever anything. So for this, we're going to need some thick green leaf-like things spread out of the ground. Their edges rimmed in thorns, which briefly fills you with dread before you recognize it. Hey, you know what this is. Fred snaps one of the thick leaves off and waves it up at you. It's aloe. Something. Yes, aloe vera. Aloe vera is good for treating burns, and sure, it's usually only effective for, lighter cases. All it takes is a special Fred touch to really amp up its usefulness. As he says that, he stands back up, tossing the leaf into the air and letting it flip once before catching it again lightly. Besides, it'll still be useful. It's anti-inflammatory. It promotes circulation, it inhibits the growth of bacteria, and... Okay, I get it. Jeez, you don't need to sell it to me, dude. Yeah, I know. Just having some fun. Anyways, like I said, just rubbing this all over your foot would probably hurt like hell and not do much. So we need to add some magic. I suppose, yeah. Oh, this is a nice CG. This is a nice CG. With another gesture, a root grows up from the base of the tree, arcing upwards and punching into the bark before snapping itself off and sinking back underground. After a moment, some sap begins to drip from the improvised tap, which Fred coats his hand with and proceeds to coat your foot in it. His touch reignites the pain and you wince, but thankfully, he's working fast. He bites into the edge of the aloe leaf, pulling some of its green skin back and spitting it out onto the ground before rubbing the semi-clear, goopy innards all over your foot as well. Nearly immediately, the pain begins to soothe, but is still somewhat present. Lastly, holds his hands on either side of your foot, each one glowing a familiar faint green, which quickly begins to surround your foot as well. The glowing hastily thrown together through organic salve begins to shift and flow over your foot, feeling like you were holding it under a faucet. Ha ha ha. Before your very eyes, the nasty burn begins to fade away, taking the pain along with it. It's like that little moth's pollen from earlier, but even more effective as it's even growing your fur back too. Hold up. He's making a face. See? Magic. Whoa! Just wait a bit more and it'll be done, buddy. You can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but I have to admit, this is pretty freaking cool. Thanks. No problem. It's taken me years of practice and study to get this stuff down. Takes a lot of knowledge and experience with plants to get a... Is this why you didn't take me to the hospital? Fred scratches the back of his head. Well, yes and no. But, with how much there is... Wow! I thought I already proved that. I already approved that phrase. But, with how much there is that needs to be said, there needs to be a certain order to it. And that's fairly low on the priority list right now, believe it or not. I swear, I'll explain everything that I'm able to tell in due time, Chad. But you'll have to bear with me and wait. What do you mean, you're able to? There's a lot of stuff I can't just tell, because reasons. Is that really the best excuse you can come up with? Come on, why are you holding out so much on this? I deserve to know. There's stuff that I can't tell you, not because I don't want to, Chad. It's because I can't. And based on what's happened with Thony's father, the more you learn, the more you'll be in danger. Believe me, you're better off not knowing. But something tells me you'll eventually find out anyways. Ugh. I have so many questions. First mouth fucking all of this. It's too much. My head hurts. Yep. Sorry, buddy. But hey, check out your foot. At a suggestion, you look back down at your foot, finding it completely healed up. Reaching down and poking at it, you find that the skin's still a little sensitive, but it's certainly less painful than it was before. With a smile and a nod, Fred stands back up, helping you get back to your feet as well. You shouldn't have any trouble walking now. Give it a try. You nod, hesitantly putting your foot back down on the ground. It takes a moment for you to fully plant it back down, though. Finding that to be okay enough, you take a few steps, still a little hesitant to put your full weight on it. Once you do, you confirm that it really does feel all better. Whoa, nice! See? I told you. I'm amazing. Thanks, Fred. Anytime, buddy. Anyway, let's get the hell out of this forest already. I'll finish explaining everything when we get home. Sure, sounds like a plan. Fred walks over to the piece of bark seated on the roots, then turns to the side and looks at you expectantly. Well, hop on. Oh, and hold on tight. Wait, what? Are we not walking back down the mountain? No, that'll take way too long. Just, remember back in school when we used to write downhill on cardboard? Vaguely, yes. Okay, then yeah, just think of it like that. Except this will be so much more fun. You raise a brow at him, but ultimately decide to heed his command, carefully climbing up on and sitting on the smoother inner surface of the bark. The root platform it's sitting on is constantly shifting beneath you, causing it to be a little unsteady. I doubt it, but I suppose I have to admit you do seem to know what you're doing. I should probably listen more. Maybe if I listen well enough, it'll inspire you to listen to me for a change. Maybe. Sorry about all of that, by the way. I was, struggling to keep all three of us alive by myself, so I needed you to work with me. Just so I could focus on what needed to be done. No, it's okay. I get where you're coming from. I should probably apologize too, seeing as I've kinda gone off on you a lot today. Sorry. At least you're fairly good at calming me down when it starts up. Yeah, it's okay. Anyways, we can still go down the river if you'd like. There's a river nearby that goes all the way down to the park. Fred slowly gets up onto the bark too, but he stands on it in front of you, almost like he's on a big surfboard. With some hand movements, he summons up some ribbons out of the bark to wrap around his legs, holding him in place. Wait, you mean like surf down the river on this thing? Yeah. He summons more ribbons to hold you in place as well. For some reason, the idea of this incredibly improvised mode of transportation still coming with seatbelts amuses you. Well, as nice as the idea of a bath sounds right now, I'd rather not get all wet. Hold up! Motherfucker was doing an ooh-woo face. Let me see if it's still here. Is it still here? I hope to God it's still here. Is that it? That's not it. But it's nearby. There it is! Ha 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 ha! Woo! There's a moment of silence as you look up at Fred's back. He slowly turns his head back to you with the biggest, toothiest grin you've ever seen him make. Then, in the lowest, most sensual voice he can muster, I'll make you wet soon. Wait, what? Here we go. Not giving you a second to respond further, Fred motions his hand forward as if commanding an army to march, and with a small hop, you start moving downhill. Whoa, too fast! You completely forget about Fred's weirdness as you cling onto the bark for dear life. The wind on your face causing your eyes to water and your stomach to tingle. Oh no. Oh no. Are they going to do the horizontal cha-cha? Are they going to? No. 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 This is a good Christian stream. Where we have Christian values. We praise the Lord here. Praise be. Okay, there's no getting around it. This is not all that. But no, don't do inappropriate things in front of... Let me see if I can find it. I cannot find it. I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it. That's not it. No, not that. I think it's like the one after. Yep. No. Yep. Damn it! It's somewhere. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Kid Ty. Just going to pull up Kid Ty. There it is. See? I keep allowing in the ass. I keep allowing that. It's fine. But don't do that in front of Kid Ty. Don't do it in front of baby Ty. Because he's a baby and doesn't need to know about that. Yet, despite your panic, Fred's as calm as ever, guiding you down with slow and measured hand motions. You are, quite literally, surfing down the face of the mountains on a wave of roots. Despite your insistence on not getting wet, the rainy weather yesterday left plenty of mud in your path, so instead of water, both you and Fred are getting splattered in mud. Shame this thing didn't come with a windshield, too. Huh, Chad? Between the speed, the mud, and your exhaustion, you're panicking. Probably a bit too hard. In your defense, Fred is coming dangerously close to hitting stuff as he makes tight turns around trees. Slow down! In a panic, you lunge for Fred's legs, opting to cling onto those instead, since it seemed much more stable and easier to hold onto than the edges of the bark. Rolling around at the speed of sound, got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. Fred regards you with a warm smile, then returns his focus to the path ahead. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Just watch out where you touch, Chad. Oh my god, Fred, please stop talking about your dick. Please stop. Shut up! Shut up and slow the hell down! I promised to at least try to do at least one of those things tonight. Unfortunately for you, it was not slowing down. What made it even worse was the setting sun made visibility fairly poor, but at the same time, it's actually pretty surreal. If you weren't going down the mountain so fast, it would actually be a fairly beautiful sight worth relaxing and taking in. Attempting to focus on the tranquility around you to help stifle some of your trauma, you eventually realize you must be getting fairly close to town. You peek out from behind Fred's legs to test your theory, only to see that you're very quickly running out of solid ground. Fred, stop! Oh, that? You're gonna get us killed! Stop this! To your complete and utter horror, his response is only to grin. And speed up. Oh, wanna see a cool trick? No! I've already died once and it's not fun. I don't want to do it again. Despite your protests, you continue hurtling towards the edge. Fred, seriously? Stop! Grab on Chad. No! As you get close to the edge, you can notice that Fred bends down a little bit, pulling his arm back, and thrusts a mighty uppercut skyward, summoning a massive root right at the edge of the cliff ahead of you. It's angled upwards like a ramp. No! Your speed continues to increase towards it. You squeeze your eyes shut, and a moment later, you're forcibly whipped backwards, followed by the feeling of nothingness beneath you. You're probably clinging onto Fred's legs tight enough now to snap the bones. Why did I agree to this? I'm such an idiot. Fuck. What do I... Quit being a baby and open your eyes, Chad. This is beautiful! You initially refuse, but after several moments, you realize you haven't crashed into anything. Least of all, the ground. Once you have this realization, you slowly force your eyes open. You're actually flying! Marababo is just a bunch of tiny blobs in the distance ahead of you, and past it, the warm orange glow of the sun reflects off the sea. That dull, almost intimate glow bathes the whole world in a peaceful yet somewhat somber light. As the wind blows soothingly through your fur, your grip loosens on your psychotic friend's legs. Whoa! As you gawk at the beautiful scene before you, you eventually realize that you're not falling fast at all. Glancing up, you see a gigantic leaf hanging above your head that's acting like a parachute. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Do you do this often? From time to time, yeah. Since the forest is so dense, people tend to avoid it for fear of getting lost. So, since I know my way around, it's kind of like a safe haven for me. Oh yeah, I remember Kathy forbidding Thony to get into the forest. Yeah, that's good. People rarely make it any deeper than a couple 100 meters in, so we should be fine. That being said, we should probably land here soon and walk the rest of the way. Just in case, last thing this poor town needs is a UFO scare too. Hey, Fred? Yeah, buddy? What are we going to do about Kathy and Thony? Don't worry, Chad. I know you're worried, but that's why I brought you out here today in the first place. What do you mean? Hold on. By controlling the size of the leaf parachute, Fred is able to speed up your descent, but still managing to keep it controlled until he lands near the top of the forest's upper canopy. After surfing along the tops of the trees for a bit, Fred finds a patch light enough to pass through, arcing his way down. He carefully rides downward, using the branches below him like stairs, until you both finally land back below the leaves. It actually seems to catch Fred off guard, and he hastily uppercuts to summon another angled branch to land on. As you slide down the ramp, Fred seems to lose control, and before you know it, the bark beneath you splits and breaks, sending you both flying. Thankfully, you manage to land on some bushes which prevent fall damage, while Fred gets tangled up in some branches and vines above. They can only bear his weight for a moment, and eventually they snap one by one, dropping him into your bush as well, sparing him any further pain. Happy tears. He takes a moment to collect himself, but after letting out a relieved sigh, he begins to chuckle under his breath. You join in, since it's hard to deny that was pretty funny. Sorry, I always have a little trouble landing. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah. He sits up in the bush before hopping out and helping you out as well. He speaks while helping brush debris off of your head and shoulders. The reason we did all of this was because of Kathy and Thony. Remember how they said Doosan changed suddenly and without warning? Yeah? What does that have to do with what happened today? Well, if my hunch is correct, then the only way you'd be able to stand a chance against him was to gain knowledge and experience. Wait. Are you saying you basically brought me out here to grind for XP? XP? Oh, right. I did use a video game analogy before. Well, not exactly, no. I want Bruce to teach you what you need to know, too. He pauses, scratching at his head as he searches for the right words to use, eventually letting out a sigh. God, this is hard. To reuse your comparison, I wanted Bruce to teach you a foundation to actually gain XP on. Otherwise, it's kind of just like farming when you're already at max level. I think. Very helpful, Fred. Thank you. He glares at you with his cheeks puffed out, and you can't help but laugh at the sight. I told you I was shit at this. I'm doing my best, okay? Sorry. Anyway, come on. He beckons you with the hand, and you both begin walking towards Marababo once again. Alright, how about I say it like this then? The moment you awaken to your powers, you were doomed. What? What does that mean? I don't know if it crossed your mind before, but what we can do is no ordinary thing. Oh, hiya. Hiya. If someone ever finds out what we're capable of, it wouldn't go well. So, you have two real options. Either you come to understand and live in harmony with your abilities, or eventually, inevitably, catch the attention of the wrong people and wind up as some fucked up guinea pig strapped to a table. That last sentence makes you a little nauseous. No, thank you, I'm good. Yeah, so that's why I figured it'd be better for us to go with the former. Learn how to fight, basically. And you're going to need to know that in order to be able to do something with Doosan. I actually think I'm starting to get it a little bit. Well, this is only scratching the surface. As hard as it is to sound, as hard as it sounds, Thony said he and Kathy are holding on for a while, which doesn't mean that we shouldn't hurry, but at least we have some time. We definitely should hurry. And that we will, buddy. Good. After more walking, you finally begin to recognize your surroundings. Before long, you're able to make out the distinctive view of the park's bridge ahead of you, and no small amount of relief surges through your body. Finally, you've made it back to the park's bridge. Scanning over the area, you can see a couple people here and there, but nobody particularly young or in a school uniform. It's probably pretty late then. A group turns their noses up at you as they pass, probably offended by how dirty you are. They probably think you're homeless. Even though you were definitely far less dirty than this during the brief time you actually were homeless, ironically. Fred merely shrugs them off, though, walking over to the edge of the bridge and leaning over. At first you'd think he's just taking a break and looking down into the water below. But he keeps leaning further and further until... Hey, Chad, can you come here for a sec? I need some help. Sure? You walk up next to him, peering over the edge to try and spot what exactly Fred is messing around with. No matter how hard you look, though, you can't see anything. It's just a river. There's nothing floating in, or... What? Without warning, something shoves you from behind and you tumble forward over the edge, falling 2 or 3 meters down into the shallow water below. After scrambling back to your feet, gasping for breath as water pours off of you, you shake your head around, splattering even more all over the place. You blink several times as your brain tries to process what just happened, eventually turning your attention back upwards to spot Fred leaning over the railing, resting his head on one of his hands while grinning down at you. Whoops! My hand slipped. He snickers to himself while you glare at him, completely drenched and yet still fuming. What the fuck do you mean your hand slipped? That was a big shove, you jerk! And you do realize I have a phone, right? It's not even mine. Kathy's going to be so... You begin digging through your pockets to pull it out and wave it up to Fred to enhance your point, but your heart sinks as you keep coming up empty-handed. You mean this phone? Your attention turns to him, and he's idly waving a familiar-looking phone back and forth. That shit-eating grin still plastered across his face. Relax, buddy. You really need to have more faith in your old pal, Fred. Yeah, I know what I'm doing sometimes. With a chuckle, he pockets the phone and then, much to your horror, climbs up on the railing. Look out below! Wait, Fred, no! Once again, ignoring your pleas, Fred throws himself off the bridge, crashing down into the water next to you. Almost like he intended to make the biggest splash possible, splattering your face with water once again. He stands up dramatically, throwing his head backwards and splattering even more water everywhere, before running his fingers through his hair and looking over at you with half-lidded eyes. Heh. Told you I'd get you wet. Oh, fuck off! You splash some water at him and he laughs, shielding his face with his hand and finally dropping the forced, sexy look. You're such an ass. What the hell is the point of all this? And now I'm soaked, freezing my ass off, and you just destroyed both our phones. Well, I figured since those monsters seemed to sniff the air a lot, they were tracking you guys by scent. Well, Mothok's scent more likely, though I'm not sure why. Either way, he was carrying you for a long time, so his scent was all over you. Though it's not a particularly bad scent, polleny with a hint of manly sweetness, fitting for a guy like him, I suppose. And someone or something might try to follow that scent back to our place. That, and we were totally covered in mud. I guess that's fair. A warning would have been nice, though. It would have, yes, but it's funnier this way. Oh, ha ha. My sides. You're a real comedian, Fred. Right? Anyway, I think we're good to go home now. Fred climbs out of the water, furiously shaking his whole body to get as much of the water out of his fur as he can. Afterwards, he turns around and extends a hand out for you, which you take. You mimic him, shaking yourself off as well, which quickly fades into a shiver as the cool night air wraps around your already cold, wet body. Alright, let's go. Sure. Sensing the tension in your voice, Fred's ears droop and he scratches awkwardly at his cheek. Hey, look, I'm sorry, probably shouldn't have. No, it's just, our phones. That was a really stupid move, Fred. Oh, hey, no worries, look! He digs into his pocket once again and tosses your phone back to you, and you barely manage to catch it. Once you do, you see that not only is it pretty much completely dry, there's no damage to it whatsoever. Wait, what? How? How can your magic do that? Fred flinches, shaking his head quickly and putting a finger to his lips with wide eyes. You quickly realize your mistake and awkwardly duck your head, quickly apologizing under your breath. Anyway, that's not me. My jacket is just waterproof. Oh. That's actually kind of incredible. Man, what else have they come up with the past 10 years, I wonder? Fred chuckles, shaking his head. More than you'd expect. Less than you'd hope, I'd wager. We've delayed enough, though. We're gonna catch a cold like this. You let out a sigh, handing your phone back over to him since you don't have a jacket infused with the magic of modern technology, and your pockets would probably destroy it. And whose fault is that? It's truly a mystery. He chuckles to himself while you glare at him, turning and beckoning you to follow him with a hand wave. You both make your way back to the bridge, passing over it and heading towards the park's lookout. By the time you reach it, the sun is almost fully sunk below the horizon, banishing the intimate orange glow and plunging your surroundings in darkness. Darkness that is soon banished by the park's lamps blinking to life around you. You continue out of the park onto the street in the direction of the cafe. So, waterproof pockets, huh? Do those come in handy doing, whatever it is you do? Sometimes. After doing it for long enough, even something super situational could suddenly become handy. So it's nice to always be prepared. Jeez. Just how long have you been doing this stuff anyway? Like 2 years? Try 9. Ah. Oh. Wow. No wonder you're so experienced. Yeah, and imagine all the experience I have in bed now, too. Why are you like this? Fred's laugh echoes out over the mostly empty streets, and all you can do is sigh. The rest of your walk back is made in silence, arriving back at the cafe after what feels like years away. You approach the front door, but as soon as your hand lands on the handle, Fred interrupts you. Nope, not that one. Let's try the door in the back. Why? Because this door's locked, and I don't have the key. But the back door isn't locked? Oh, no, it is. But I do have that key. Why? I think Jenny said something about how the front door should only be openable by the manager or something. Maybe it's symbolic. Or maybe she's just a little crazy. Yeah, okay, fair. With a chuckle, Fred leads you around into the alleyway on the building's right, procuring a set of keys from his pockets. He opens the door here and pushes inside, holding it open for you, shutting it and relocking it once you're both in. Looking around, you notice a door to your left and ahead of you, and some stairs on the right. Oh, okay. This door leads outside then. Jeez, I really need to make Fred or Jenny give me a tour of this place. Fred goes upstairs and you follow. Once you reach the 3rd floor, Fred walks over to the apartment door, stopping for a moment to look back at you. Follow me quickly to the bathroom. Oh, we don't want the whole floor getting wet. Alright. Even though I have genitals turned off, inappropriate stuff turned off, I'm still going to pull out the sensor. Fred opens the door with another key in his keychain, and you both enter. You shut the door behind you, and then you both quickly make your way to the bathroom. Alrighty. In the tub, chop chop. Oh, okay. You climb into the tub with Fred right behind you. As much sense as that makes, considering the circumstances, the realization that you're now in the shower alone with Fred has your heart rate starting to increase. Fred turns on the water, letting it run Run and warm up while he unzips his jacket, pulling it off and draping it over the shower's sliding glass door. Without any hesitation, his shirt and pants follow. What are you doing? Well, walking around in soaking wet clothes kind of defeats the purpose of us racing to the bathroom, doesn't it? Speaking of which, hurry up and strip. Alright. Well? What do you mean, well? I can't exactly wash your clothes with you still in them. You don't exactly need to be here while I take them off. But I do exactly want to be here while you take them off. You've already seen me naked, Fred. You are perfectly capable of waiting for them outside. Yeah, but if I did, I wouldn't be able to do this. Fred closes the short distance between... Yeah. Fred closes the short distance between you in a single step, suddenly seeming 10 feet tall as he stares deeply into your eyes, his muzzle practically touching yours. His warm breath tickles at your nose, sending a shiver down your spine. He reaches a hand up and... Wait! Your face heats up and you instinctively... Hang on. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull the sensor down. You should be good. Your face heats up and you instinctively clamp your eyes shut. Memories flood back into your mind of this exact sensation. Fred used to love teasing you like this back then, didn't he? His hand rests on your chest, and after a moment, he begins to unbutton your jacket with extreme care. Fred, what are you doing? Your eyes hesitantly open up once again, and the first thing they land on are his firm pecs. You frantically drag them away only to look up to his face to see how intensely focused he is on the task at hand, which makes your face even redder. With a playful smirk, he finishes undoing your jacket, gently guiding one of your arms out of the sleeve, followed by the other. There. He is intentionally keeping his voice low and breathy, and after draping your jacket over the door, he turns back to you with that damn smile on his face. I can take my clothes off on my own. You know. Let me make sure that it's, like, that naughty stuff. Yeah, explicit content disabled. We should be good. Should be good. I know. I just like to tease you. I can tell. His hands return to your chest once again, and a part of you tells you to bat him away, but you just stand there, letting him do his work in peace. Inevitably, your eyes begin to wander back down his body, admiring his musculature, your heart by this point pounding furiously inside your head. As they trail down far enough, you notice he's finished undoing your shirt. You take it upon yourself to remove your shirt yourself while Fred starts folding up the already removed clothes and piling them up. Once you take it off, you hand it over and Fred folds it as well, adding it to the pile. Fred then grabs your undershirt from the bottom and tugs it upwards. Again, some part of you wants to stop him, but you merely raise your arms above your head and let him remove it, peeling the last layer of filth away, finally exposing your bare chest to him. The shirt continues to drip in his hands, so he wrings it out before folding it and adding it to the pile. Almost on autopilot, you move your hands down to your pants and... Okay, I'll get to work while you take a shower. Sound good, buddy? You freeze, looking back up and blinking at him as he's already moving to step back out of the tub. Wow, Chad. What were you trying to do there? Fred looks away, focusing on opening the shower door while you remove your pants, which land with a wet splat on the floor of the tub, leaving you in just your boxers. Fred goes to step out of the shower. Alright, I'll... Wait. You stop him by wrapping your arms around his stomach from behind, pressing your head into his back. For the first time, it seems, he's the one frozen in place. Fred. Yeah? He doesn't fight against you at all, balancing himself with a foot on the edge of the tub and a hand on the door. Thank you. For everything. Your grip tightens on him a bit, and as a soft smile crosses over his face, he rests one of his hands on top of yours. You're welcome, Chad. I really do care about you, you know. I'll always be there for you. Got it? I'll count on it. You finally let him go, and he seems a bit sad about it before finally fully exiting the shower. Alrighty, boxers too. Okay. Your mind clouded in a pleasant haze, you slip your thumb under the waistband of your boxers and drop them without a second thought, fully exposing yourself. You kick them up into your hand and give them to Fred. Thanks. Now I have something to sniff next time I... Fred! Just kidding. Or am I? Don't be a pervert, Fred. Besides, I doubt it smells like anything but mucky water anyway. Well, we won't know until we find out, will we? With a familiar playful grin painted across his face, he slowly lifts her underwear to his face. Dude. He laughs, stopping long before they even get close enough to his face and adding them to the pile. I'll bring you a towel in a minute. Can I leave it on the toilet? Yeah, that'll be fine. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Have fun, Chad. I just realized that that his name is written on his waistband. In the shower? Just take your time. Relax, you know? The water's probably plenty warm by now, so... sure, I guess. Fred nods, picking up the pile of clothes and heading out, closing the door behind him. You close the shower's frosted glass door and turn back to the faucet, pulling the stopper that activates the shower head. Soon, comfortably warm water pours down over your sore, aching body. Ah. Yeah, I just noticed it. Ah. Fred's a mama's boy. Okay. Today sure was quite a day. You begin to clean yourself, careful to not apply too much pressure to the more tender parts of your body. At least the warmth is helping your muscles relax. Bruce almost killing me. Monsters, Mothok, even freaking surfing downhill through a forest. It's just too much. And it worries me that I can't see things getting easier. Didn't Fred say he usually gets Bruce to do the explaining? Does that mean this has happened before? Doesn't that kind of imply that there are others with powers? If so, they must be good at hiding it. What did I get myself into? And Fred said that we'll be back tomorrow? Is he serious after everything that happened today? Monsters. Magic. Fred. I just don't know what to think about anything anymore. Jenny has the powers of the death touch. Not Jenny has the powers of the death stare. Jenny is going to fucking murder them. I have a feeling she is going to murder them. R.I.P. Muscle Dobby boy. You will be missed. Once your mind finally frees itself from itself, you realize that your autopilot had taken over and you were already clean. Yup, the sensor, it's all there. You shut the water off and step out, finding that Fred must have delivered your towel while you were lost in your thoughts. Since you don't remember hearing the bathroom door open and shut again. Unfortunately, it seems that the towel is also the only thing he left. With a sigh, you wrap it around your waist and head out of the bathroom. You make it back to the living room, finding that, mercifully, the fireplace's warm crackling glow has filled the space with a pleasant ambient heat. Fred is still in his boxers in the kitchen, though it looks like he's just about done preparing the food. Hey, just in time. Why are you still naked? Well, our clothes just finished drying, and it's just us here, you know? Nothing wrong with a couple of dudes hanging out in their underwear, right? It's a shame, though. Just a few minutes faster, you would have seen an entirely new monster. Good God, Fred, seriously? How have you gotten so used to this that you can even crack such lame jokes? Ha! Sorry, it's just, you know, after 9 full years of this kind of stuff, joking about is one of the few ways to keep yourself sane, you know? It's not that I've normalized it per se, just, I guess you could just say I'm jaded is all. Fred grabs some bowls from the counter and brings them back to the small table next to the fireplace. And by the way, your clothes are dry now too, so feel free to go get dressed. Oh yeah, thanks. You head over to the fireplace, finding your precious undergarments nice and warm by the crackling fire. You put them on quickly, then turn back to Fred. Fred acknowledges you with a nod, then pats the spot next to him on the couch, which you move to fill. Before you reach your spot, though, Fred continues talking. It's not like I get to fight the monsters every day or every month, but it's common enough, especially since I'm usually just helping Bruce out with them. Not that he really needs my help, but lending a hand can't hurt, right? Ah, I see. You sit next to Fred, your leg accidentally brushing against his since you sat fairly close. He doesn't seem to mind though. Well, can I at least ask some questions? My head's still spinning from all of this, and I'd really appreciate something to help make sense of it all. Sure, go ahead. But do know that there are some questions that I won't be able to answer. Not because I don't want you, but because you can't. Yes, thank you for understanding. But hey, let's eat in the meantime. Don't want it to get cold. I was gonna cook, but apparently Jenny left our lunch here just in case we came back. You involuntarily cringe as you reach out and grab your food. Oh boy. She was probably pretty mad, huh? We kinda kept her waiting. Her handwriting on the note was still legible, so she wasn't murderously angry. But she went out on a dick hunt, so I think that helped her keep her cool. Wait, what? Yeah, she went on a date with a guy from the hardware store. I don't really blame her, considering the circumstances. Yeah, seeing as we said we'd meet at lunchtime and it's, night. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she got us poke bowls. Think sushi. But in bowl form. Kind of. Ah, I can kind of see that now that... I can see that now that you mention it. It's super colorful. Looks yummy. You take your first several big bites in rapid succession. As the smell of the food reminds you just how hungry you are. Seems you're not the only one, as Fred does the same. After scarfing down a large portion of it, your food frenzy settles enough to finally let you continue talking. So, in order of priority, I guess, do we have to worry about the monsters? No, not at all. We haven't had any trouble while living in Marimabo so far, right? Right. Bruce handles them, usually. He's pretty good about it. Probably wouldn't have had much trouble with the ones today either, but I kind of screwed up today. But I'll have time to apologize tomorrow. Hopefully. Okay, that's fair. Next, what are our next step when it comes to Kathy and Thony? I can't help but worry. Nah, I get it. Don't worry, for now we just need to learn more about Dusan. From what you've told me, I'd be willing to bet he's been influenced too. Influenced? Has powers like us, basically. Though we don't know exactly to what extent, so that's why we need to be careful. Either way, people usually don't have a complete personality shift without something shady going on, so it's worth looking into no matter what. Can't you just do something about it? What about Bruce? Bruce doesn't care enough about the goings-on of us mortals down here at the foot of the mountain. He usually just stays up there, only coming down sporadically and for reasons that are specifically not helping us. Well, what about you? Smacking him around with vines isn't exactly going to achieve much towards actually helping. That's why I want to look into him more. Hell, even if we do find something big, he may still be out of my league entirely. Then, what about Kathy and Thony? I'm sure they'll be alright for the time being, but if things got from bad to worse, we definitely would have to do something about it. We can always check on Thony in the mornings and ask him how the situation is going. Alright. Fred nods, letting out a long yawn in between bites of his waning meal. No matter what, though, never use your powers in public where other people can see. Don't even tell anyone about it. Not even Jenny. Got it. Like, for example, that night you went back to her house, if I hadn't come after you, those guys could have found out, or worse, shot you to death. Well, they already tried the shooting part. Wait. How did you manage to jump over the... Fred just looks at you, a bemused, very patient look on his face. Oh. Well, then what about the door? Fred continues to munch while still looking at you. Ah. So then, does that mean the whole faucet clog thing the other day was magic too? Didn't you just say that we shouldn't use our powers in public? Fred gulps down his last bite, setting the now empty bowl back on the table before looking back at you with a grin. Well, why do you think I made you step out? But I found some fresh roots and leaves on the sink after the water cleared. His face immediately falters, and he awkwardly looks away, scratching at his cheek. Oh. Whoops. Yeah, I should try to be more careful about it, but I mean, seeing as you didn't bring it up at the time, you probably just thought it was related to the clog, yeah? Pretty much, yeah. Nice. Still, I'm probably fairly lucky it was you to notice. Either way, though, always keep this very pertinent saying in mind. Do as I say, not as I do. Haha, yeah. Okay, so what about when Dusan beat the shit out of me? Remember how I healed your foot? Yes. It was like that, but your whole body. And I didn't exactly have the privacy of a forest just to do whatever, so I had to scavenge for stuff in secret and apply it to you in the bathtub. And even then, it wasn't just as simple as gluing a bunch of leaves to you with sap and wiggling my fingers. Since I have such intimate control over plants and the like, I can sort of use them as extensions of my own body. For instance, if I pump some sap into your body, I can use it to get a feel for what your insides are like. Kind of like an x-ray, but more detailed.
Voicing disabled.
Isn't having sap in your bloodstream, like, really bad? I feel like that's speedrunning a heart attack. I mean, yeah, if you just injected sap directly into somebody, it wouldn't be good. But with me, it's magic. He wiggles his fingers mysteriously at you, and you roll your eyes at him while he chuckles at his joke before continuing. Anyway, once I got a feel for what needed to be done exactly, I basically used a bunch of plant-based medicines and amped up with magic to speed up your healing process. Like penicillin, for instance. You know what that is, right? Yeah, it's some antibiotic, right? Yeah, derived from certain types of mold. Naturally, with my magic, I can culture special versions that do a lot more than just fight off bacteria, different from the process they used to make the medicine in hospital labs. Basically just did stuff like that to help reset your ribs, close up any cuts, repair internal damage. I think you get the idea. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it wasn't easy. It took a lot of energy to do it all, but since it's for you, it was all worth it. He flashes you a grin and a wink, and you inadvertently blush and look away, chewing on the last bit of your dinner. His superficial injuries, on the other hand, like your burnt foot, are child's play in comparison. Like you saw, I can deal with those in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. Oh, I see. You know, that made a lot of sense. How the hell are you so bad at explaining other stuff? Well, I've spent years practicing, studying, and understanding my own powers specifically. Not necessarily on how they work or their origins. But Bruce does know about all that stuff. Even if he does, I'm still a little anxious about going back to see him again. Relax, bud, it'll be fine. Anyway, was there anything else before we go to bed? You finally finish with your own food, placing it down on the table, as well as while you shake your head. Nah, I think that's enough for now. There's still a lot I don't know, but at this rate my head's going to pop. I actually have a question for you, if you don't mind, Chad. Yeah? With everything that's happened, you coming back to life, working for Jenny, meeting Kathy and Thony, and now your powers, what's your objective? The question catches you off guard, freezing you in place for a moment. Fred watches you with the curious stare as you ponder your answer, eventually offering him an uncertain shrug. Well, I really haven't put much thought into it. Okay, yeah, no, that isn't allowed. No. No, no vegan dildos, no. That is not allowed, no. Fucking vegan dildos, I find that shit hilarious. Well, I haven't really put that much thought into it. Everything has happened so fast that I haven't been able to stop and process all of it. In 1 week, I lost my job, got evicted, basically got adopted by Kathy and Thony, met you again, got a job with Jenny, discovered that I somehow have magical powers, and then almost died. Today I almost got killed again, met a big creature that I definitely have never seen, and got to know that apparently there are some monsters going around that almost killed me, by the way. At first, all that I wanted to do was try and have a normal life, get a job, and try to rent some place to stay, and that's it. But clearly life had other plans for me. You can always move to another city and try again there. I can take care of Kathy and Thony and help you get you... No. There's no way I can abandon them, especially after all of this. I already owe Jenny a lot, and beyond that, there's still things I need to do here in Marimabo, too. Like, I need to find out what happened in those missing 10 years. I want to know what happened to people I used to know. And honestly, I'd be lying if I said I didn't like having powers, at least somewhat, so I'd like to learn how to use them too. Okay, so in order. He begins counting on his fingers. You get to know your powers to be able to save Kathy and Thony. You get back on your feet, get to know what happened to the people you knew here, and understand what happened in these 10 years. Not necessarily in that exact order, but yes. No, at this point, I need to try to understand more about you, Bruce, and the monsters, too. Well, assuming everything goes smoothly, I promise I'll help with that, but because who boys are a lot to tell. You try to respond, but are interrupted by a yawn, which Fred mirrors. Yeah, I guess there is. But we can worry about it all later. Let's go to bed. Yeah, honestly, I'm amazed I made it this long. I'm exhausted. Looks like we're doing another 2-hour stream. Ah, those are always fun. Did you sleep well last night? I can definitely sleep on the couch if you want. The other room doesn't have a bed. You stand up, looking back at him with a smirk and a firm glare. Don't make me say it. You extend your hand to Fred, but he doesn't move, staring directly into your eyes. Say it. Your cheeks slowly begin to heat up once more. You can sleep with me if you want. Nah, I'll just sleep on the couch. What? Yeah, I think it'd be better for me to stay out here. I don't want to disturb you or anything. You glare at him, and he stares up at you with an obvious fake sympathetic look on his face. What is it, Chad? Is there something wrong with that arrangement? Damn you, Fred! What? He's so obviously toying with you now, and as much as you want to smack him or call his bluff, you swallow your pride and extend your hand to him more firmly, your cheeks glowing red at this point. I want you to sleep with me. He stares up at you, proud of his accomplishment. He tenderly takes your hand, giving it a firm squeeze as he stands up with your help. Well, when you ask me like that, what kind of monster would I be to refuse? I hate you. He chuckles, booping your nose with the finger. Let's go to sleep already, muscle Dobby boy. Fred ruffles your hair, and it's impossible to deny that you really enjoy it, but you still look away shyly. Okay. Fred nods, holding tight on your hand as he pulls you away towards the bedroom. Once you get inside, he flicks off the lights and leads you over to the bed, but before you lay down, he stops, turning to you once again. Also, Chad? Just because there's a lot going on with the monsters, powers, and everything, doesn't mean that you can't still have a normal life, you know? What do you mean? I mean, just look at me. I still have a job, travel sometimes, hang out with Leonardo from time to time. Wait, he's still around? He nods, finally guiding you into bed, which you gladly go along with as you continue to hold your conversation. Yeah, from time to time, when he's not occupied with his band. As you nestle under the sheets, Fred flops in next to you, laying down sideways and resting on his arm while looking at you. He has a band now? Also, ready for me to blow your mind? He's Jenny's brother. Wait, what? Really? Yeah, and they're really similar too. That said, most of her siblings are, but don't tell her I said that. I won't. Or will I? You finally take the upper hand in your banter with Fred, actually getting him to look a little worried. Don't. She'll slap my tits real hard. So he admits that he has tits. Ah. Unfortunately for you, he recovers quickly, even cupping one of his pecs for emphasis. Just reach and touch the other one. He won't mind. You shake the thought away furiously, simply nodding along before turning your head towards the wall to hide your blush. Yeah, I know how powerful Jenny's slaps are. Yeah. Silence fills the room now, and after a minute, some shuffling behind you tells you Fred probably laid down all the way as well. So, we're just, gonna freeze to death tonight, huh? You do realize you are equally as capable of snuggling up, right? You make a solid point. Wow! Wow. Wow. You chuckle, looking back over at him. You grab Fred's arm and drag it towards you. Come here, you big dumb dog. He wastes no time in heeding your command, passing one arm underneath your neck and replacing your pillow with his bicep. You carefully guide his other hand down to your stomach, and as soon as it makes contact, you're squeezed close. Fred's soft fur swiftly banishes the cold of the night, especially once he starts to tangle his legs with yours. He lets out a small, satisfied chuckle, idly rubbing at your belly. It sends a tingling sensation across your whole body, but the feeling is far from unpleasant. Good night, buddy. Sweet dreams. You too, Fred. Thanks. You both close your eyes, and Fred's soft, rhythmic breathing lulls you quickly towards sleep. Despite all of what happened today, with Fred's strong arms wrapped around you like this, you finally feel wholly safe and protected. You could definitely get used to sleeping like this every day. We're gonna save right here. To be continued. Well, the entire series is on YouTube. I'll work on it probably tomorrow if I remember to. Yeah. Stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.